Judge, I have to note that my client is under the current opinion that he's been instructed to not communicate via third party or directly.
Oh, just 1 second. Let me call the case and then we'll. All right, court is calling 2021 CR 1906, State of Texas versus Kevin Owens. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Hank Wilkins for the state, Your Honor.
Defense.
Orlando Castaño for defense.
And are you Kevin Owens?
And so that is what I'd like to address is he is of the opinion because the proceedings are live streamed, that any statements he makes is him communicating to whoever.
All right.
So he was asking for an order that he be allowed to speak while in court.
I mean, I'm asking you a question, so obviously I want you to speak. Are you Kevin Owens? That's either yes or no.
Yes.
All right. So there has been a motion to withdraw attorney.
Yes, Judge.
All right.
And so I also followed the motion to modify conditions. I'm not sure whether you want to address both.
Well, let's address the motion to withdraw first, and then we'll see if we get to the other motion.
I've represented Mr. Owens now for just over 2 weeks. We met last week at my office, and during the duration of our my representation, he and I have had differences in regards to how to proceed on this case. There has been, I believe, a strong difference in opinion on how to proceed. He's asked me to do things that I do not agree with. And in that disagreement, because I've not wanted to move forward the way he's asked me to, he's notified me in writing that I was fired. And so he asked me to file a motion to withdraw, and I've done so. I believe at this point, though, that our disagreements are fundamental and that I cannot ethically represent him.
All right. So, Mr. Castagnone, I believe you're the third attorney on this case.
I believe I'm the second.
The second. All right. I thought there was someone before Miss Gay.
Ms. Gay, and I believe she was the first lawyer on this.
Let's see. All right. Can you look in the record and see if Miss Gay was the first attorney on this case, please? All right. So this is scheduled for trial October 9th. So your motion to withdraw will be denied. Mr. Owens, if you wish to hire another attorney, you're more than welcome to do so. But whoever that attorney is, they're going to need to be ready for jury trial on October 9th. So,
Judge, I don't believe I can ethically, again, as I stated, represent Mr. Owens. And I believe that eventually he not wanting my representation, I believe that this is an issue that's an appealable issue. And I don't believe that I can ethically be his attorney at this point.
all right, motion is denied. The next motion is the motion to modify or delete bond conditions.
Yes, Judge.
All right. Counsel, you want to address that?
Yes, Judge. We've asked, my client is indigent, as you know, that I have been appointed on this case. And previously, I believe Ms. Gay was appointed. I'm not certain of that, but I do know that I have been assigned to represent him. He's asking that his GPS fees be waived because he is indigent. I did not put this in the motion. I forgot to add this, but I did speak to the state in regards to his request. He also would like to have drug test fees waived because he is indigent. And so he has recently had to provide a drug test, and it cost him $10, and he's struggling to have money. He's not been able to work. The other issue he's asked me to address is that he'd be allowed to have tracking only. And the facts of this case do not demonstrate that he has gone to any individual's business, home. These were all through electronic communications. And so I do not believe that GPS is necessarily something that's going to prevent any of those types of issues. So we'd ask that tracking be allowed. He's been having a difficult time finding employment. And he did recently find employment with Toyota, but his understanding is that he has to have the employer come in and testify as to his employment. And because of that, that was prohibitive, and he was not able to maintain that employment. And so, that condition, if the court does not wish to allow him tracking only, we'd ask that be removed, or in lieu of in-person testimony, that there be some type of, ability for an email with company letterhead or something acknowledging that he has been employed. Because he is indigent, he has not been able to retain his own attorney. He can't afford GPS fees. And so it's important that he gets out there and begin working.
All right. State.
Your Honor, I think that the court wants to waive the fees. I think that's reasonable. With the GPS, we would ask that you keep the GPS the way it is with full house arrest. Code says that the court can make reasonable conditions as part of bail. And I think that's a reasonable condition. We think the defendant has been doing well because of the GPS, not in spite of it. So we would ask that you keep that in place. The part about the order, the defendant being able to speak in court, I think you addressed that in the last motion, but I mean, we don't have any objection to that. We want to be able to speak while he's in court. And any conditions with employment, I think that's up to you, Judge. So we don't have an opinion there.
All right. Is there anything you wish to add, counsel?
No, Judge.
All right. With regards to his speaking in court, I mean, that's very broad. You don't want somebody to be inappropriate. However, if there's something he wishes to say,
I believe
can't
his concern is also just acknowledging his presence, Judge. So any speech that he made or makes, he was under the belief that he would be in violation of a court order.
No, I never put a court order in place that he could not talk. But I will say this. I can't give you any legal advice, but I know that anyone who had a criminal case or any type of legal case would perhaps want to speak to their attorney before they decided to speak to the court. But that's completely up to your relationship with your attorney. So I think that's overly broad. So I'm not going to rule on that.
I think he was looking for an order just allowing him to address the court. Should he be asked to speak, asked to announce it present? And if he were to testify, that he'd be allowed to testify.
Yes, of course he can. If he decides to testify, then you're more welcome. You're welcome to testify. That's within your purview to make a decision. A client in criminal court has certain rights. One is whether they enter a plea or not, whether they go to the court or the jury for punishment, whether or not they decide to testify or not testify. So I really don't understand the defendant being permitted to speak while in court, that request, but I'm telling you, you can speak in court. With regards to the GPS fees, I'll ask that those be waived or deferred. With regards to employment, counsel, if the issue with the employers testifying is because there was no documentation that was being brought to the court when there was a issue of whether or not he had employment, and the court wanted to know what employment he had, what the hours were, and what would the job entail. Because of the nature of what he's charged with, the court didn't think it would be prudent for him to have employment where he's not at a stationary place.
And I understand that, Judge. I believe that the facts of the case do not warrant restriction of his movement, because he's not been, I believe, accused. It's not alleged that he's been traveling to or anybody's residence or business. And so, I mean, it seems to be just a bit of an overreach in regards to restricting his ability to find employment.
All right, so I'm going to order that he has to provide proof of employment, and that includes his work schedule.
And so just to clarify, when you say provide proof, would an email from the letter or a letter from the employment with letterhead, would that be sufficient proof?
but it'd have to have what his work schedule is. Yes, and counsel, I'll depend on you as an officer of the court to verify that that is
Absolutely.
correct. All right.
Just so I'm 100% clear that you're not requiring that his employer come in and testify to such.
No.
Okay.
And then with regards to him being permitted to speak while in court, sure, he can speak while in court. With regards to tracking only, that's denied.
And I didn't list it in there, but there's space for it if the court approves permission to waive any drug testing fees. I don't know if the court has the ability to do that, but
I will waive drug testing fees. All right. Is there anything else with regards to this motion?
right. And so he has been including me on emails. He does have household duties such as going to HEB. And so, you know, he would like to be able to go at least once a week to get groceries. He did ask for permission to go to the post office. And so I believe he would like to at least be able to go because he's been having them delivered, which is a fee.
Mhm.
And it costs additional monies to have those groceries delivered. And so he would like to at least be able to go to HEB and pick them up.
All right. That will be denied. Is there anything else?
Good judge.
All right. So you all will be back here on October 9th for jury trial. And we'll go from there. Is there anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Your name for me, your full name.
Abdul Khalik Abdul Hassan Awde Al-Ansi.
Thank you. You mispronounced his name. I was closer. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So the state has filed a dismissal in your case. And they're saying that they're dismissing it because a witness is missing. So let me explain something to you. You will be released today, and unless there's something else holding you, you'll be released, and it should be within 3 hours, but it'll probably be at midnight because that's just the way things happen. Your attorney probably can call and figure out when exactly you're going to be released. Do not go out and celebrate the dismissal, right? Because here's what I've discovered in my short time on the planet. Even though I'm in the twilight of my life, I've still been on the planet a short time. Sometimes things happen for a reason, and you got to sit back and ask yourself, why am I in the situation that I'm in today? All right. And you need to make sure that you're not in that situation again. I don't know any facts of this case. I don't know if you were hanging around with people and things got out of hand, but whatever it is, the people that you were with on this day, you probably shouldn't be with them again. You understand? All right. Good luck to you.
Thank you. I pray for you. Thank you. So
Oh, thank you. I appreciate your prayers.
much. Take care of yourself. Get together.
You know, the only thing I know from your language is yalla. Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.